get the lights, please? I'm Rachel Zegler. I'm gonna teach you the basics to become the greatest singer in the world, or wherever you live. This is Singing 101. Step number 1, warm up. The most important thing to do is to warm up your voice in any capacity whenever you are going to use it. And the way to do that is usually through a bit of lip trills, going up and down the scale. And then you go up. I like to warm up for about 30 minutes. People think that you can only just warm up for 5 to 10. If you have a certain warm up that works for you that way, go for it. But if you're gonna be doing some strenuous activity, say doing a Shakespeare play 8 times a week, or singing a Disney score for 87 takes in an hour, you should warm up for a really long time. Make sure that you're not overdoing it, but also don't underdo it, because both things can be really detrimental to your voice in the long run. It's a muscle. Treat it like a muscle that you're working out. Treat it like rolling out before going on a run. It's the same thing. And it's also very easily damaged, very easily injured, and you don't want to do that. If you ever gone out to karaoke, which I do not, and your voice feels hurt, strained, gravelly, groggy the next day, it's probably because you didn't warm up. So the next time you're doing Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac at your favorite karaoke bar, 20 minutes of vocal trills on the way there. The taxi driver will thank you and your Uber rating will go down. Step number 2, find your voice. This could also be referred to as placement. Where are you placing your voice in a song? A lot of times that has to do with a character that you're playing. If you're doing musical theater, the way that I have for most of my life.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and bright.
Or even if it just means you're not sure where to place certain things in your voice when you're singing your favorite Sarah Bareilles song in the car. There's a real misconception about singing that it's all here. Not at all. You have something called chest voice, which feels like it's coming from here. You have something called head voice, which feels like it's coming from here. Or people use a nice mix, which feels like you're doing both at the same time. A lot of times my vocal coach, Joan Lader, has had me equate sounds to animals. So a lot of times you'll be doing like something like a goose being like, wah, 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 wah. That's your chest. Sometimes you're doing things and it's like a little mouse where you're going, wah, 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 wah. That's your head voice. Anywhere in between that is a mix, but that does take a long time to kind of figure out because we have something called the passaggio in our voice. That is when you are switching from your chest to your head. It's a very sensitive point in the scale that you're using while you're singing. A lot of times it takes a lot of training in order to iron out your passaggio so it's not as easily noticeable when you're singing a song. But there are ways to flip through both. So all of those things, very simplified, can be seen as yodeling. So when you're yodeling, if you just go like, is a very donkey sounding quality to your voice, but you're going from your head to your chest. And that actually requires a lot of skill. A lot of people actually can't achieve that, which is why yodeling is such an amazing skill. When you see Julie Andrews doing Up on the Hill Was a Lonely Goat Herd, he-hoo. Speaking of Sound of Music, if you're going to sing in your chest voice, you want to do do, re, mi, do, re, mi. That's in your chest. If you're doing your head voice, it would be do, re, mi, do, re, mi. That's in your head. But there are ways to mix that so it sounds more like you're tricking the audience into thinking you are belting, but it's much healthier for you because in order to belt something like that requires some crazy skill and also a lot of strain if done too many times or done improperly or without warming up. So a lot of times you'll want to mix. Do, re, mi. It's a mix of both. I'm not fully in my chest, I'm not fully in my head, but I am using both in order to achieve a certain sound quality that I want to. Step number 3, style. And not the song by Taylor Swift, though we love that song. It's very important when you are singing to understand what you're singing for. That sometimes means understanding your audience or understanding the material to a certain degree. Do you want to sing it like a pop star? Do you want to sing it like a rock star? Do you want to sing it like Creed? Do you want to sing it like you're doing opera for the 18th time? It's very important to understand that stylistic quality because that affects the way that the audience is perceiving your performance. It also affects what you have to do with your voice. A lot of pop stars nowadays have many different styles. styles. We have Lady Gagas and Chappell Roans in the world who use a chesty voice and at times a very musical theatery approach to singing. Also, Chappell has a yodel quality to her voice, which is really amazing. But if you were going to be singing in a pop style, sometimes people are singing in as what the internet dubs in cursive. And that's what a lot of pop stars do as well. It's very easy on the voice, but it also is a very hard thing to come across and make sure that you are doing it dynamically, make sure that you're doing it with diction so that people understand what you're saying. But it would sound a little bit like, "Do a deer, female deer, ray a drop of golden sun." That's more of like a Billie Eilish approach to singing a song like that. It's just a beautiful quality to her voice. She can do so much vocal gymnastics with what she does in all of her different records. But then if you were going to do a very operatic sense, a lot of that has to do with the amount that you use your jaw. It also has to do with your tongue placement. A lot of opera singers actually bring their tongue to the very back of their throat while they're singing. This is also common for a lot of musical theater singers because in order to achieve 8 shows a week in proper voice, you have to treat it like an opera. A lot of opera singers really do treat their voice with so much care because you have to be able to sing for hours and hours and hours. So if you were gonna sing, "Me a name I call myself, far long, long way to run," that would be in your opera quality. And then, there are ways to add gravel, rasp to your voice, nasality, that will bring certain rock sounds, that will bring certain pop sounds. I definitely think that there's an element to Creed songs that we call yarling, which really is going into the gravel of your voice. I don't recommend doing that solely because it does require a lot of skill in order to do it without hurting yourself. If you ever need an example of somebody who was doing everything right with their voice 8 times a week, it was Alex Brightman in the musical Beetlejuice doing the Michael Keaton Beetlejuice voice while singing, dancing, doing acrobatics and all of these stunts, but did it 8 times a week.
Stay in your seats. I do this bullshit 8 times a week.
That requires an insane amount of training. Do not try that at home. Step 4, add sparkle. There are times where you get to make things your own. There are times where you get to sing, "Do a deer, a female deer." It's fun. It's wonderful. It's not necessarily what you would be doing if you were playing Maria von Trapp on Broadway, but it's still really fun to do. So if you want to do that, I think this is a free world and you should absolutely feel free to sing however you want. Vibrato is your breath control, so if you feel like you can, absolutely go for it. I learned how to do vibrato by listening to Sutton Foster sing "Gimme Gimme" from Thoroughly Modern Millie and "Astonishing" from Little Women on repeat. I would mimic her, and that's the way I learned how to do it. I didn't learn the traditional way, so unfortunately I'm not necessarily the best person to teach it because I just copied my favorite musical theater actress. Step number 5, sing. Now you have the opportunity to put all of these things together. Know that you've warmed up your body so you know where in your body your voice is coming from. Make sure that you're doing everything healthily and safely. It's very, very important to take care of this muscle. It is very sensitive, it's very delicate, and you don't want to hurt it. Obviously, your next step is to find the style. Are you singing a musical theater song? Are you singing a pop song? Are you singing a rock song? Make sure that everything that you're doing for that makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel awesome, and then you get to just add your sparkle. And then you sing. Anybody have a question? Anybody in the class? Which song in Snow White was your favorite to sing? Oh, that's a good one. There is a song in Act 3 of the movie where Snow White returns to her kingdom in an attempt to get it back. It's called Snow White Returns, and it wasn't originally in the film until very, very late in the game. It was the 11th hour. Pasek and Paul wrote it for me to sing because we just felt the scene was missing something. And it really just became the anthem of the film and the heart of it, truly. The lyric that moves me the most is, "No more sending whispers to the water, 'cause you're everything you were wishing and waiting for." Everybody needs to hear that the person you want to be has been within you the entire time. I'm very proud to have been a part of that process, and it brings my heart a lot of joy. Now it's your turn. I'm so proud of you. You did it. And even though I'm not qualified to teach how to sing, I've been doing it for a very long time because it brings a lot of joy to my heart, as I hope it does for you as well. Thanks so much for coming to my class. Y'all.